They say that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. I used to believe that. I used to think that if I just stopped caring, the pain would go away. But I was wrong. Hate is a fuel. It is a clean burning, high octane energy source that can keep you warm when you are sleeping on a mattress in a basement in Queens. Hate is what wakes you up at 4 a.m. to write code when your eyes are burning. Hate is what builds skyscrapers. My name is Eleanor Vance, but the world knows me as E.V. Stone. I am the CEO of Stone Holdings. I own shipping lanes, data centers, and 3 skyscrapers in Manhattan. Right now, I am sitting in the boardroom of my flagship tower. The air conditioning is set to a crisp 68 degrees. The smell of expensive leather and fresh orchids fills the room. Behind me, sitting at the long obsidian table, are 3 people. My father, Robert, my stepmother, Victoria, and my stepbrother, Brad. They are whispering to each other. I can hear the fear in their voices. They are terrified of Ms. Stone. They are terrified of the billionaire investor who holds their fate in her hands. But they don't know that Ms. Stone is the same girl they threw out into a thunderstorm 10 years ago, with nothing but a backpack and a broken heart. I am facing the window. I'm watching the city lights. In a moment, I will turn this chair around. In a moment, their world will end. But before I pull the trigger, I need you to understand why I'm doing this. This isn't just petty revenge. This is justice. To understand the woman in the chair, you have to meet the girl in the rain. Growing up in the Vance Manor was like living in a museum. You couldn't touch anything. You couldn't speak too loudly. You had to be a decoration. After my mother died, the house became cold. My father, Robert, didn't know how to be a parent. He only knew how to be a CEO, so he outsourced his life. He hired Victoria. She wasn't just a wife, she was a takeover specialist. She restructured our family. I was the redundant asset. Her son Brad was the new acquisition. I remember the small things. That's what hurts the most. I remember how Victoria would accidentally leave me out of family Christmas photos. "Oh, Eleanor, darling, you were blinking," she would say. But she never took another shot. I remember how Brad would kick my shins under the dinner table, and if I cried out, I was the one sent to my room for being disruptive. But the night of my 18th birthday was different. The air in the dining room was heavy. I had put on my best dress, a simple blue one my mother had bought me years ago. It was a little tight, but I felt pretty. I sat down, smiling. "Happy birthday to me," I whispered to myself. The soup was served in silence, then the main course, then dessert. No cake, no candles, just a white envelope sitting on the silver tray where the cake should have been. Hardening, becoming angry. Victoria wiped her mouth with a linen napkin. She looked at my father. "Robert," she said, "do it." My father took a sip of whiskey. His hand was shaking, just a little. "Eleanor," he said, staring at the centerpiece flowers. "We have been discussing your future." "My future?" I asked, hopeful. "You mean Columbia? Did you pay the deposit?" Brad snorted. He laughed so hard he choked on his water. "She thinks she's going to Columbia," Brad mocked. "That's adorable." Victoria leaned forward. Her eyes were like ice. "There is no Columbia, Eleanor. We have decided that you are spoiled. You lack character, and we are not going to fund a parasite anymore." I looked at the envelope. "What is this?" "Severance," Victoria said cold-heartedly. $500, and a bus ticket to the city. You have 1 hour to vacate the premises. I felt the room spin. "Dad, is this a joke?" "It's time to grow up, Ellie," he mumbled. "It's for your own good." For my own good. That's what they said when they took my mother's jewelry. That's what they said when they moved me to the attic. And that's what they said as they watched me pack my life into a single suitcase. I didn't take much: my laptop, some clothes, and a locket with my mother's picture. As I walked down the grand staircase, Victoria was already instructing the maids to strip my bed. "Burn the sheets," she said. "I want Brad's gym equipment in there by tomorrow." I walked out the front door. The sky opened up, and the rain poured down like tears. I reached the iron gate and heard the lock click shut behind me. I stood there for 10 minutes, just staring at the house. I watched the lights go out in the dining room. They were done with me. I was just trash they had taken out. I touched the cold iron of the gate and made a promise. "You think I'm nothing," I whispered to the thunder, "but 0 is the most powerful number in the world, because you can add as many zeros as you want to it." Do you know what $500 gets you in New York? Nothing. It gets you 3 nights in a motel and a few sandwiches. I found a room in Queens. It was illegal. A basement storage unit converted into a bedroom. No windows, just a vent that smelled like exhaust fumes. My bed was a mattress on the floor. My roommates were cockroaches. I got a job at a diner called Sal's, the night shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. I served drunk college kids who looked just like Brad. They threw fries at me. They tipped me in pennies. One night, a customer, a businessman in a suit, spilled his coffee on purpose just to watch me clean it up. "Missed a spot, sweetheart," he sneered. I was on my knees, scrubbing the dirty linoleum, holding back tears. I looked at his shoes. Italian leather. $800. I vowed that one day I would buy the company that made those shoes just to fire him. But I had a secret weapon: my laptop. During the day, while normal people slept, I went to the public library. I used their free Wi-Fi. I didn't just learn to code, I devoured it. I realized something crucial. The world runs on logistics. It runs on moving things from point A to point B. And the systems everyone used were ancient. They were slow. I started writing a program. I called it Project Glass. I worked 20 hours a day. I stopped eating properly. I lived on instant noodles and tap water. I lost weight. My skin turned pale. But my mind? My mind was sharp. I remember the night it worked. It was 3:45 a.m. The basement was freezing because the landlord turned off the heat. I was wrapped in a blanket, shivering. I hit enter. The simulation ran. Green text scrolled down the screen. Optimization complete. Efficiency increased by 40%. I sat back. I didn't cheer. I didn't scream. I just smiled. I knew I held a golden ticket. I started cold calling shipping companies. I got rejected 50 times. "Who are you?" they asked. "You're a kid." But the 51st call, a mid-sized trucking company in Jersey. The owner was desperate. He was losing money on fuel. I told him, "Use my software for free for 1 month. If you don't save money, I walk away. If you do, you pay me $50,000. He laughed. "Deal." 30 days later, he called me. "Kid," he said, "you just saved me $200,000. Where do I send the check?" That was the first brick of the fortress. I didn't buy a car. I didn't move out of the basement. I hired 2 developers, then 5, then 10. I rebranded. Vance was dead. Stone Logistics was born. Why stone? Because you can build on stone. Because stone doesn't break. Years passed. I went from the basement to a loft, from a loft to a penthouse. I started buying competitors. I became the ghost CEO. No photos, no interviews. I wanted to remain invisible until the trap was ready. While I was building, my family was crumbling. I kept tabs on them. It became my morning ritual. Coffee, bagel, and the Vance Industries stock report. My father retired 2 years after kicking me out. He handed the keys to the kingdom to Brad. Predictably, Brad drove the kingdom off a cliff. He wanted to be Elon Musk. He invested the company's reserves in a cryptocurrency that turned out to be a scam. He bought a private island that had no water source. He fired the old, wise board members and hired his frat brothers. The stock price dropped from $150 to $12, then to $4, then to pennies. Banks stopped lending to them. Suppliers stopped shipping raw materials. They were suffocating. And I was the one buying all the air. Every time a bank sold their bad debt, I bought it through a shell company. Every time they mortgaged a property, I bought the note. I own the mortgage on the manor. I own the lease on their corporate jet. I own the debt on Victoria's credit cards. Last week, the final domino fell. They couldn't make payroll. 5,000 employees were about to go unpaid. They were desperate. They needed a savior. They reached out to the only firm with enough liquidity to bail them out, Stone Holdings. My assistant, Sarah, walked into my office. "Miss Stone," she said, "the Vances are on line 1. They say it's an emergency." I looked at the rain hitting the window. It reminded me of that night. "Let it ring," I said. "Let them call back." They called back 10 times. Finally, I allowed my secretary to set a meeting. "Friday, 5 p.m. Tell them they have one shot." And here we are, Friday, 5 p.m. I can hear Victoria sniffing. She's crying. Not because she's sorry, but because she's losing her status. "Miss Stone?" My father's voice cracks. Are you there?" I place my hand on the leather armrest. It's time. I press the button. The chair rotates. I see the moment of recognition hit them like a physical blow. Brad's jaw drops. Victoria gasps and clutches her pearls. My father looks like he's having a stroke. He grabs the table for support. "Eleanor?" he wheezes. You're alive?" I don't smile. I stare right through him. "I'm more than alive, Robert. I'm your landlord." "No." Victoria shakes her head. "You're the girl, the trash. We kicked you out." "You tried," I correct her. "You planted a seed in the dirt and hoped it would rot. You forgot that seeds grow." I toss a thick folder onto the table. It lands with a heavy thud. Inside that folder, I say, my voice echoing in the silent room, is the paperwork transferring 100% of Vance Industries to Stone Holdings. You have 2 choices. Brad stands up, his face red. "You can't do this. We're family. You owe us." "I owe you?" I laugh. It's a dry, cold laugh. "I owe you nothing but this moment." "Choice 1, I continue. You refuse to sign. I call the bank. I foreclose on the manor tonight. You leave with the clothes on your back, just like I did. No money, no cars, no friends. Because let's be honest, your friends only liked your money." "Choice 2, I say. You sign. I absorb the company's debt. The employees keep their jobs." "And us?" my father asks, hope in his eyes. "Do we stay on the board?" "No," I say. "Brad," I look at him. "You like cars, right? Good. We need a valet driver for the building. You start Monday. Tips only." "Victoria," I look at her. "Our cleaning staff is short-handed on the night shift. You'll be scrubbing the same floors I scrubbed to survive." "And you, Dad," I soften my voice just to trick him. "You get a retirement home. It's a state facility. Shared room. It's paid for. It's more than you gave me. This is cruel, Victoria screams. Cruel? I stand up. Cruel is sending an 18-year-old into a storm. This is mercy. I'm giving you jobs. I'm giving you a chance to build character. Isn't that what you wanted for me? I point to the pen. Sign. They signed. They cried, they shook, but they signed. Because they are cowards, and cowards always choose survival. As they left my office, the sun began to rise over New York City. The rain had stopped. I touched the cold glass of the window. I looked at my reflection. The girl in the rain was gone. The woman in the glass castle remained. I pulled my mother's locket out of my pocket. I had bought it back from the pawn shop years ago. "Happy birthday, Mom," I whispered. We won.